Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer. We are a middle aged couple with a Regal Unlimited subscription and an unrelenting fondness for movie theater popcorn.
You saw this at a Regal.
I did.
I didn't. I saw it at Alamo. Yeah, no, what did we see? We
The
saw The
Bride.
Bride, as you probably know because you clicked on this video. Uh, The Bride. It has an exclamation point, so it's The Bride! Just as Wuthering Heights had quotation marks.
It did.
That's the new thing, punctuation. It makes a movie better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It makes it also a lady movie, I guess.
is this a lady movie?
God, yes. That's why everybody hates it. I would assume.
I heard somebody describe it as like a big, fantastic feminist freakout, but
That makes it a lady movie.
eh,
Yeah.
I think feminism is for everyone.
It should be for everyone, but,
Whereas this movie is not for everyone.
Yeah, so we saw this movie separately. We have not actually said anything to each other about this movie, except that I said that I actually did like it.
And I like it too.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
So, but people are going to hate this movie.
Oh, yeah, it has terrible reviews, and like the headlines I've seen for movie reviews, told me that I would probably dislike it. And I saw a social media post where somebody said that, well, two that I saw. One I think is very accurate. One I don't know how accurate it is, only because I didn't see the movie they compared it to. But the one I don't know whether it's accurate or not, compared it to Joker 2, right? And like Joker and Harley Quinn, and The Bride and Frankenstein, like that. And so I never saw the second Joker movie,
Nor did I.
but nor actually I didn't see the first Joker movie either. But
I did.
I could see why you would make that comparison from what I got from that movie from the commercials. The other social media statement was that this is basically like a weird indie movie, that if it were just a weird indie movie and somebody hadn't spent $85 million on it, you probably would have liked it better because you wouldn't be expecting
Excuse me.
anything of it except like a weird indie movie doing weird shit. And that I firmly agree with. This was a weird movie doing weird shit, and I think people didn't like it for that reason. And it's has all of the subtlety of I don't know what's the least subtle thing in the world.
Getting hit with a brick.
Getting hit with a brick, a stripper, like whatever the least subtle thing you can think of is, there's nothing subtle about it.
Yeah, stripper's all about the tease.
Well, a stripper once they're naked and they're already
Fair enough.
naked.
Okay,
like
so...
a naked person.
This movie is crazy. It is interesting. So I'm a huge Frankenstein fan. Frankenstein is like my story. It is my favorite monster. I know, for instance, that it's not called Frankenstein. It's called Frankenstein's Monster.
Yes.
And
the monster has a name in a book, right?
No, it does not.
No, it does not. Okay.
The monster is never given a name.
Yeah.
Mary Shelley used the word daemon a couple of times, which is the Greek version of demon, which is not quite as evil connotated as demon, but whatever. It is absolutely presented as a monstrous creature, but no, it's never given a name. And here in this movie, he's called Frankenstein.
Yes.
Or Frank, or Frankie. And I have an interesting theory about Frankenstein in this movie, but I think it's something that got cut from the script.
Okay.
There is a point in this movie where someone is trying to describe what Frankenstein looks like. We're getting way ahead of ourselves, but anyway.
It's fine.
No one cares.
We don't need to actually give a whole description of the movie first. That's actually not a necessary thing. So you can just go in and start talking
So
about
Frankenstein in this movie claims that he was created in Switzerland or in Germany, in Ingolstadt, sometime in the 18th century, but only remembers things after 1917. The movie is set in 1935.
I don't remember that. I remember, to be honest, hearing you say that to somebody.
Yeah.
And before I saw the movie. And then in the movie, I was waiting to hear that. And I feel like I've maybe I dozed off. I don't remember him saying that.
Okay.
I remember him saying that he met Jake Gyllenhaal in 1917. That's the only mention of that I remember.
Okay.
But I might have missed it.
Maybe I have it wrong. I don't know. But later on in the movie, there's an old man who's a veteran who says he had a scar on his head, describing Frankenstein, just like a bayonet scar I saw in Europe. And it occurred to me that maybe at some point when they were writing the script for this movie, the idea was that Frankenstein was in fact just a wounded veteran of World War One who had loved movies so much and had seen the Frankenstein movie and thought that's what he was.
I think that's an interesting piece of speculation. I don't think there's anything in the movie that
the movie
supports
does
that.
not, in the end, support this, and that's fine. I'm going to continue to think this. Anyway, so The Bride, 2026, is Maggie Gyllenhaal directing, starring her brother, among other people, Christian
And her
Bale.
husband.
Who's her husband?
Peter
Sarsgaard, yeah.
Peter Sarsgaard, who is the detective.
Right. Penelope Cruz. But, of course, the main point of this entire movie is that it gives Jessie Buckley another paycheck, which, honestly, good enough. Jessie Buckley deserves all the paychecks she can get.
So I've never seen her in anything before. I've contemplated seeing Hamnet almost every other week since that movie has come out. I've read enough about it to go, I really don't want to fucking see that movie.
Sure.
I may well still end up watching this movie. It is now on streaming. But I don't have any interest in that movie. But she was, she's apparently, obviously the world believes that she's incredibly amazing in this movie, in Hamnet. And I thought, this was a part in The Bride that was just like, here is scenery. We are not even going to cut it up for you to chew it. It just exists for you to chew it. And she does deeply successfully.
She does.
She basically plays 3 parts. And it's very interesting what she's asked to do, and she does it incredibly well. I think part of the downfall of the movie is that some of what she's asked to do is more insane than the insane movie warrants, and goes on too long. Like every beat of the movie, even the beats that work, each beat goes on too long. But they're parts of the movie that I think work really well for what it's trying to do, if you're willing to go along with what it's trying to do. Excuse me, and in every one of those where she's the feature of the scene, she just does an amazing job. But yeah, she is the ghost of Mary Shelley that has somehow been hanging around since the 1800s.
And read Bartleby the Scrivener.
Well, has been doing all sorts of stuff
Post-mortem.
to like register something about the world and how the world is now in the 1930s, because the movie's set in the 1930s, and has read, literature that has come out in the intervening years. And somehow she ends up possessing this, gangsters mall, basically, in Chicago in the 30s, in the middle of a restaurant, And so part of what Jessie Buckley is doing is flipping back and forth between being the ghost of Mary Shelley, who speaks in this, like, just incredibly rapid-fire 18th century diction.
Word salad.
Or 19th century diction / word salad of it, but it's 19th century style diction. And then
I don't think it's 19th century diction.
It's meant to evoke that.
I think it's also meant to evoke classic Hollywood of the 30s, but okay, go on.
Sure. And which is meant to evoke like, that like transatlantic plummy accent kind of stuff. But so it's like the transatlantic plummy accent, but the words she's saying are meant to make you think of like 19th century language style. And then being this 1930s woman who speaks in American English, and she just flips back and forth between that seamlessly. And the different physical demeanor that those two different characters have. She just slips back and forth seamlessly. It's really very well done. The other thing that performance reminded me of, oddly enough, was Song Sung Blue. Was Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue. That role is basically like, for an actress, that role is scenery chewing, right? Like, it gets you to be able to kind of stretch being like, you know, a normal American woman and be this, you know, pain pill addled character. And it, like, there's a lot of histrionics that this character has, and it allows like an actress to like fill the space in a movie, that even if the rest of the movie you don't particularly like, you might look at that performance and go, oh yeah, that's a good performance. And I feel like that's what Jessie Buckley had in this movie, that even if you didn't like the rest of the movie and where this was going, that you would have to look at what she was doing, because she was asked to do all this stuff and was just able to like just be these different people so easily, and go, this is a really good performance. Even if I don't know why she's doing it.
It is an absolute star turn. It is. Yes. This is, if it was any other kind of movie, this would be Oscar bait. But she's already done her Oscar bait for the year, so
for last year.
Yeah. So yeah.
And people don't like this movie enough. No one's going to remember this come Oscar time.
It's
the type of movie that it is, you know. But she's amazing.
It is a virtuoso performance in a role destined to be despised.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to watch. This woman put so much of herself into such a character that could not ever exist in the bounds of physics, much less human biology.
Yeah.
So yeah, the character design is outlandishly bizarre.
But I love it.
Designed to shock.
I love it.
So punk rock.
Yeah.
And the black stains, which we are told is some side effect of being brought back to life.
It's like something that they had
the crystalloid mixture.
Or something that they had to pump into her to help bring her back to life. She ends up like, you know, coughing some of it up when she's is reanimated, and it stains her face and it stains part of her hands and
on
stuff.
Her arm and her fingers get covered in it. And so she just has this black India ink all over her. Her with this shock of peroxide blonde curls that doesn't quite fit her head. And no, like, eyebrows that look like they've been chopped up with a weed whacker. It's just such a, and like weird like orange makeup and this orange dress that isn't not even period appropriate, and crazy like purple shoes. It is so shocking the way she looks, and it is so audacious that it is absolutely intentional. Someone asked me if I thought that such and such a thing in this movie was intentional, and I said every little thing in this movie is intentional.
Yes.
There's no question in my mind that Maggie Gyllenhaal labored over this.
Yes.
With other people, I'm sure, but that every piece of every frame has been carefully choreographed.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous. Like, I mean, I found the trailer striking, but also like, you know, another one of these things where it's like, do we need another Frankenstein movie? We saw one last year, right?
Excuse me.
What?
We always need another Frankenstein.
That's fine, whatever. But, you know, like, this is, you know, is there Frankenstein fatigue? I think that's actually legitimately part of people's reaction to this, even though they're not saying that. I know you don't have it, but other people might.
Poor Things was great. Frankenstein was great. The Bride is great.
I forget about Poor Things. But the
Lisa Frankenstein.
The costume design, the makeup, the set design, the production design, all of it is just so visually interesting. And, you know, there's just so much going on to see in the movie, even though it's half of what you're seeing is crazy. You know, and there's points in time where you are seeing inside her psyche, where where Mary Shelley and Ida is the gangster's mole, when they are talking to each other inside her psyche somehow. Frankenstein is obsessed by the movies. He goes to the movies all the time, and I forget the name of the character. It's something Reed.
It's Jake Gyllenhaal.
But
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal is the movie star that he most wants to be, and
constantly fantasizes about being him.
Yeah, so there's times where he's going to the movies. You see that he's watching a movie, and then all of a sudden you see him in the movie, and just again these like fabulously beautifully done like giant dance sequence things of movies from the 1930s, right? Like done in black and white. Like, of course, let's do that too.
And then we have actual dance numbers in the movie,
which I thought was amazing. And I knew at the time of watching it that people would fucking hate this shit, but I loved every moment of that sequence.
Because we're going to have to put a huge spoiler tag on this. One of these dance numbers is set to Putting on the Ritz. Because it can. That's all.
Frankenstein there is for the fucking win.
There is so much
with
of young
Frankenstein yelling like "Putting on the Ritz." Oh my god! I almost shit my pants. I loved that.
Annette Bening's assistant is essentially Frau Blucher from the movie. It is.
Annette Bening is
Annette
the doctor.
Bening has the same hair as Gene Wilder in Young Frankenstein.
That I didn't register that. You're goddamn right. I didn't even register that. Yes, there is a huge amount of Young Frankenstein reference in this. Penelope Cruz's character is Myrna Malloy, right? I'm like, and I read on IMDb there's some other. I guess Ida and Lupino. Lupino is the bad gangster.
Yeah.
Ida is, the main character. That Ida Lupino is like a famous, an early female director.
Yes.
Who I had never heard of until I looked up the IMDb. So there's like all this reference stuff in there.
It's so many references. And it's crazy. Yeah. And for some reason, Mary Shelley is obsessed with Herman Melville, which, go figure. Although just Bartley this river, she has no time for Moby Dick.
Well, a big theme of this movie is no time for dick, period.
That's a good point.
A big theme of this movie is that men are a problem. And they are constantly a problem. And whenever you let them kind of go on to their own devices, they become a problem. And I'm going to imagine that that's a big part of the reason why people don't like this movie, because that is deeply unsubtle. To the point where, towards the end of at the end of the movie, among the last lines, among the bride's last lines, she says, "Me too," just like, okay, this could be a wee bit more subtle, but yeah, it's a big theme of the movie, up to the point of Frankenstein, right? Like he searches out a doctor that he's read about that he thinks will be able to reanimate a woman so he can have a bride, right? Like he just finds this doctor. It's not like the doctor that made him or something else, because he's been alive, wandering around since the 19th century, right? It's now 1930, whatever it is, 18th century.
I think that's right.
No, 18...
I guess, no,
19th century.
His birthday in the movie is supposed to be
1819. Which is when the book is written.
Yeah, kind of. It's fine. It's a little confusing, but...
Do you think she wrote the book in the 1700s?
No.
She wasn't alive.
No, I'm confusing this with the Kevin Branagh Frankenstein.
Okay. Which I didn't see.
In the 18th century.
Anyway. Anywho, the point I was trying to make, right? So he goes out and finds this doctor, asks her but asks her to make him a bride. In the end, she does, right? And when Ida wakes up as the bride, she doesn't remember who she was. She doesn't remember anything. So eventually she assumes... Like, she's encouraged to assume that they have always been together and that they were together before she was dead.
Well, and Frankenstein even claims to have known her before she was dead, which is a bald-faced lie.
Yeah.
And they just dug her up out of a random graveyard.
Out of a random grave. And not knowing anything about her, that she was a gangster's mall and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, when she figures that out, right, and she does eventually figure that out, you know, obviously it's like a problem and devastating and a sign that men are a problem. And when by that point, two different men at that point had attempted, across the movie that we saw, had attempted to rape her. And men murdered her, you know, in her actual life and stuff. So men are a problem. And then somehow, as part of all of this, then like Mary Shelley's ghost somehow ends up like sort of possessing lots of women, and lots of women are inspired by the kind of like Bonnie and Clyde-ish rampage that the Bride and Frankenstein are on, and are inspired by her.
It's a brain attack.
And it's a brain attack.
Which, a phrase that is used throughout the movie.
And they feel this brain attack, which I guess is Mary Shelley's ghost, like kind of infusing all of them.
I thought they were just inspired by the Bride, but okay.
I think it's giving you a little bit of this and a little bit of that, like some of both. And so then people like dress up like the Bride and like, you know, tell men to go fuck themselves and like rampage in the streets in ladylike ways, and in ways that come out of nowhere and kind of don't make any sense, even though I can understand the impulse of wanting to like lady rage sometimes, because like I love you, but you know, like gender inequality is like a thing. So it's like I get all the impulses that this movie has. It hits you over the head 7,500 times with a 65,000 pound brick of the challenges that women face in the world, and that many of them can be laid to the hands of men.
But if there is a big criticism of this film, it's that it presents that in terms of gothic horror rather than realism, except with the cop.
Yeah, so there's
the Limerick cop.
Yeah,
during the movie. Yes.
There's a detective out of Chicago and his assistant, who is is female, 75 times smarter than him, is figuring this case out.
We're talking about two different things.
Oh, what were you talking about?
The cop who the traffic cop who pulls them over, and then
tries to rape her.
Recites limericks as he's trying to rape her.
Yeah, he was one of the two people I was saying that had tried to rape her by the time she's...
But then you're talking about Penelope Cruz.
Yeah.
And that was separate.
Yes, I'm talking about something else.
Okay, we got our wires crossed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
So I thought when you mentioned the cop that what you were mentioning was the detective. No. So that's why I started talking about the detective. So you were mentioning the other cop. So why were you mentioning him?
Well, because I think that's like the most realistic scene in the movie. I'm putting that in quotes because nothing in this movie is particularly realistic, but it's all very cartoonish and overly colored and mannered and big. But this scene they let the scene run, for one thing. Most of the cuts in this movie are a tenth of a second long. This is a 20-minute scene. I'm exaggerating those numbers. That it's a 5-minute scene that just runs, and it gets more and more tense and awful as you watch it. And it is an attempted rape that leads to her murdering someone for the first time, and she feels bad about it.
What? The cop in the field?
Yeah.
That's not the first murder. That's not even close to the first murder.
That she does.
No, Frankenstein kills the cop in the field.
Right, but doesn't she shoot somebody?
She doesn't shoot anybody in the field. No.
Okay. I saw this movie a couple days ago.
Yeah, and I forget what her first murder is.
It doesn't matter. The point is that she is somehow appalled, but when she in fact does murder the first time.
Yeah.
And Frankenstein is like, yeah, I've done it before. And he tries to send her away, but she has nowhere else to go, so she stays with him, and they become Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, so it's after... So, again, someone tries to rape her, but it's people in an alley after the club that they leave.
Yeah,
right. So he beats the two guys to
Frankenstein
death,
killing those guys, and then they run away.
They run away, and he tells her, "Go away."
Yeah.
Because there's going to be somebody that comes after us, right? So that's when he tries to get rid of her.
Yes, and then she just goes with him anyway.
She goes with him,
and then she ends up killing the cop in the dance hall, the rich people party.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's separate. I'm getting so much confused here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. This movie is a very confusing movie. That's the point. It's supposed to be confusing. It's supposed to just be delirious and just.
Delirious is
something
a good way
that
to describe it.
plays out in front of you, and you just have to ride along with it.
Yeah.
You are not given a chance to stop and think for a second.
Mm-hmm.
The plot is absolutely the weakest part of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The incepting incident, whatever, just does not work at all. Mary Shelley is like, I'm going to possess this woman so I can live again. The woman's immediately murdered.
Yeah.
And then, strangely enough, the movie version of kind of the character that Mary Shelley created digs her up at random.
Yep.
Out of a grave, and then reanimates her.
Yep.
And
hijinks ensue.
Cool. Which makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually the cops get them. So a big part of it is that Mary Shelley says, "You girl that I'm possessing, you need to find a name for yourself. Death has taken away your name, and you need to find a new name for yourself," which is a really interesting parallel to a theory I have about the original Frankenstein, but I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, basically, we talked earlier about how Frankenstein in the book doesn't have a name. It is the most glaring thing standing out in the book to me, and I think it has a lot of meaning. But anyway, so Ida is not looking for Ida's name, not according to Mary Shelley. So even though Mary Shelley could very well tell her your name is Ida, she does not. She says you have to find a name for yourself. And this was, I think, the biggest letdown in the entire movie, because I have seen people do this before, men do this before, and I find it really unsatisfactory. She decides that her name is the Bride.
Yeah.
Now, Frankenstein then says, "The Bride of Frankenstein," and she says, "Nope, just the Bride."
Yeah.
As if this is some kind of feminist revolutionary act.
Yeah.
The Bride is still positioning herself in terms of relation to men.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. That is not a name for a woman.
Yeah.
That is a job title.
Yep.
For someone who is subservient to men.
Yep.
It doesn't work. And it's treated as this big moment.
Yeah. That was I agree with you. That was the one part of this movie. There were other parts of the movie that didn't work, but that was the one part of this movie that was like, what are you doing? Like, with the crazy thing that you are doing. And, this approach to, like, feminist or woman-oriented movie making, that is the one part of this movie that makes zero sense.
There's also the fact that this is a universe where Frankenstein the book exists. Frankenstein the movie never happened, apparently, because there's no reference to it directly in the movie.
Because they don't have the rights to it, I'm sure.
It's public domain.
Mm.
But
maybe it wasn't when they wrote the script.
No, it's been public domain for years. Anyway.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. Anyway, but the point is that, and the Bride of Frankenstein movie, which is the direct inspiration for this, does not exist in this universe, despite the fact that it's 1935, which is the year that Bride of Frankenstein came out, etc., etc. So it is a delirious scrawl of a movie, and it is unbelievably shocking and off-putting at times.
Mm-hmm.
There are bits of this movie that are gross. There are bits of this movie that, there's not too much gore.
Yeah.
There's very little blood. There's some, but not too much. There's no sex. Well, there's sex, but there's no real nudity. I don't think there's any nudity. Is there?
I think we see her titties.
Maybe in one of the sex scenes.
Yes, in one of the sex scenes we see her titties.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
But it's not like there's very little nudity.
Yeah, it's not pornographic. It's just,
We have seen more pornographic movies this year.
So, it's fascinating. It is an absolute vision from Maggie Gyllenhaal of The Bride of Frankenstein reimagined. It is glorious and decadent and crazy. There are constant references to Dadaism and the Weimar Republic and, drag and all kinds of things in this movie. They're just fascinating. I think it is absolutely worth books worth of criticism.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to see this movie and be so annoyed that they watched this movie that they will never talk about it again.
Yeah, and not think about it.
Those people are not wrong.
They're not
There's
wrong.
enough in this movie that is just like, that doesn't work, that I think that you can absolutely be forgiven for saying you didn't like it. Not that you need to be forgiven for your opinion. But,
I got you, but I get why people wouldn't like this movie.
Absolutely, and they're correct.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. I would recommend someone watch it in the sense of having this crazy experience, not because it's a good movie. It's a very well done movie. It's an amazingly well done movie, and a great. Again, just this great sense of like the sets and the costumes and the just sumptuous nature of like every shot. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what's happening, some of it is crazy. Some of the dialogue, the opening dialogue is Mary Shelley talking to the screen, the ghost of Mary Shelley talking to the screen. And I wrote in my head the next line that she was going to say for one of I'm like, okay, if I already know what this line is going to be, that's not good because this movie's been going on for 35 seconds, and there were other places where I knew exactly what the line was going to be and was like, please don't. And that was the line, Yeah,
I'm willing to say I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. I think it... so there was a movie called The Bride in the 80s, which is The Bride of Frankenstein as Jennifer Beals.
Yes, which I never saw.
And Frankenstein in that movie is Sting.
Yes, which is the only reason why I wanted to see it. And then, because I was the right age, but I never saw it.
I saw a sort of retroactive review of that movie that said the problem with that movie is that The Bride is about Sting. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. This movie is very much about Jessie Buckley.
Yes. Christian Bale, I thought, did an amazing job.
He's a great
We have
actor.
not talked about him.
That's the thing.
He did an amazing job.
One of the greatest actors working today, completely overshadowed
by Jessie Buckley.
Yeah. And you said you didn't really know who she was or where she came from. So she came out of nowhere.
I know who she is. I know where she came from. I said I haven't seen her in anything.
Okay.
I know what she's been in. I just have never seen any of it.
All right, so just for the sake of the video, so she was in this thing called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is a equally off-putting, if not more off-putting, weird movie about where even time and memory are not allowed to be persistent through the film, and it makes it almost impossible to watch. I know people loved it. I enjoyed it while it was happening, and afterwards it just started to annoy me. But she was opposite Jesse Plemons. And the acting in that is so good, even if I hated the movie, the acting in it was so good that Jessie Buckley and Jesse Plemons, is that his name?
Yes.
They're both Jesse.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Became two of the biggest stars in Hollywood, almost overnight. And it is fascinating to watch their careers, because the two of them are so incredibly talented. He's so good at playing menacing incel type characters. She's so good at every goddamn thing she does. Mm-hmm. It is astounding to watch her take on so many different roles.
Yep.
Like in this movie, taking on 3 different roles all at the same time.
Yep.
Wow. Great. So, yes, if you like Jessie Buckley, this movie is absolutely...
You really should watch it.
A tour de force for her.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I should watch that fucking Anthem movie. Okay, fine.
Maybe. I don't know if I want to see it. There's apparently this scene in that movie where William Shakespeare is looking over the side of a bridge and he says, "To be or not to be, that is the question."
Yes.
Good
That's
God.
not the only reason why I don't want to see that movie, but that's pretty high up there.
Okay, so anyway, Jessie Buckley is amazing. So, oh yeah, and the one other thing that really didn't work for me was the very ending.
The very, very ending.
The very ending is the cops catch up with them and they shoot the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And then they go to they shoot the hell out of the bride, and then Frankenstein takes the bride back to Annette Bening and says, "Fix her." And Annette Bening
That's
is
the
like,
opposite. They shoot Frankenstein. The bride takes Frankenstein
right?
back to Annette Bening. Then they bust into the lab and they shoot her in the lab.
Okay, you're right.
He's already dead.
Yeah, I got it backwards. But the point is that, like, suddenly, the movie is very ambivalent throughout whether she's actually in love with Frankenstein or she just is afraid of being 100% alone in the universe, just like he was.
Yeah.
And the ending is Annette Bening brings them both back to life, and they are going to be happily ever after.
That's implied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you see their dead hands reaching for each other.
You see, yes. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, yeah, when they get shot up, like, what I thought of actually was Thelma and Louise, right? And, you know, how there's no, like, space for them in the world, so of course they just have to die. And, you know, but then the whole point is that, like, you know, you can reanimate bodies. But the other point, though, is reanimating bodies is not necessarily bringing the same person back. So it's like, just because they, like, come back together doesn't necessarily mean it's the bride and Frank, right? That they might be, like, different people or different characters in some way. That hopefully they'll like each other, but maybe they won't.
Yeah, we'll see. Or we won't, because there's never going to be a sequel to this.
Well, there was never intended to be a sequel, even if this was a blockbuster movie. Like,
there it is, The Bride. Love it or hate it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with you.
There's other things that I would talk about this movie that I'm not going to, because we've been doing this for 37 minutes.
Yeah, this movie's already too long.
Yeah.
Okay. It certainly made an impression on us.
It did. It did.
Even more than Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, which at this point is, I think, one of the things I'm looking for in a movie, and part of why I would say I enjoyed this. Yeah. Even though I don't think it's actually that good. But it's not forgettable.
No, it is not.
You know, like, it's just not another forgettable, like, random crime thriller, you know, like, so yeah. All right, that's it.
Until next time.
Farewell.
Bye.